So our final speaker of the session is Jason Benedict. Jason did his PhD at the University of Washington and is now a Director of Graduate Studies and an Associate Professor at the University of Buffalo. His research is focused on solid state material science and the study of light matter interactions in crystalline material. But Jason is also passionate about engaging children in science, and he founded and organises the annual US Crystal Growing Competition. It's an annual contest that challenges students and teachers across America to grow crystals, and that's what he's going to tell us more about today. So I'm going to pass over to Jason.
All right, great. Okay. Oh, come on.
You should have presenter rights.
Yeah, I just gotta find the right thing here. All right, fantastic. Okay, does that look like that's sharing properly? You see that screen, and can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we can't see quite all of your screen, I don't think.
Oh, all right. Let me try here. We'll try it this way. How about now?
Perfect.
Okay, fantastic. All right. It may have something to do with the conversion between U.S. and European paper or something. I'm not quite sure, but anyway, yes. Thank you for that introduction, Susanna. And it is a real pleasure to be here speaking in this session today. And I have to say that, it's a real thrill to be in there with the first two speakers. So Thierry, that was a really great talk. I looked up, their schedule of course materials and things like that. Can't wait to see some of that come online. And, it was nice to hear about some of the themes that were brought up at the last PCCR2 ALS meeting. It would be great to see a light source in Africa. And then also in Ilara's talk, there's a huge number of resources I had no idea about. And so that's what's exciting about coming to meetings like this, is learning about some new things. And so I think what you'll see is there's a real potential for some synergy between, some of the things made available by the CCDC and what I'm trying to do here in the United States in terms of engaging kids and trying to get them to get interested in crystals, more broadly science. And so again, I'll be telling you a little bit about that, a little bit more about that today. So let's see here. Oh, it looks like maybe I have to beat the screen. There we are. Okay, so yeah, I'll be talking about the U.S. crystal growing competition today. And so, why do we do stuff like this? Well, right here, pictures are worth 1,000 words. We basically, my group, we visit classrooms and we teach kids about crystals and, discuss crystal growth and things like that. And again, we're really trying to just get kids interested in science and especially crystals. And we do this through, again, our trips to classrooms, but that's obviously a pretty small scale. In 2013, I also organized the U.S. crystal growing competition to really support ideas like this. So my PhD supervisor is Bart Carr. He's now at NYU, and he wrote a nice perspective on Friedrich Froebel, who basically invented kindergarten. And one of the most powerful aspects of that was introducing all sorts of basically crystallography principles into the education, having kids play with toys that resemble building lattices and things like that. And he found that this was a very, very powerful tool for training young kids. And so I have some, a lot of areas where I agree with Frobel. Crystals are awesome. Kids are awesome, and crystals and crystallography are really fun and impactful and engaging learning tools. So together, kids, crystals, we're going to foster this interest in science and learning. So again, how am I doing this? How am I trying to reach the broader, community of, to reach kids, to try and strengthen and grow a community of science and a community of people that believe in science. Sometimes it seems in this world these days that gets a little bit tricky, but that's why scientists are so badly needed, is to help promote critical thinking. And so I do this again. One of my main contributions is through the U.S. crystal growing competition. So this is made possible by a huge number of sponsors that all contribute in various ways, many financial, some contribute through materials, time, labor, things like that. But again, this has really grown into something big, and it continues to grow. And one thing that I was a little bit sad to hear from Thierry was that, they had to cancel their contests. I know, look, crystal growing competitions are so fun. And, it's a little bit heartbreaking to hear you had to cancel. But hey, also maybe, in this talk, this can give you some ideas to integrate some things, when you are able to get your crystal competitions going. And for anyone interested in setting up something like this, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. I've learned a lot in my time doing this. So where did the U.S. crystal growing competition come from? What's my origin story? Well, I started as an assistant professor at the University of Buffalo. Oh, by the way, I'm in. Sorry, in the way of I missed out in the way of introductions. I'm in New York. I'm in Buffalo, New York, which is over in the USA. And I have to say, I don't know that I've ever been up at 5:30 in the morning to start watching talks at 6, and felt bad because I actually missed the first couple hours of talks. But I'm sure for international folks that have visited US talks remotely, it's not a new experience. But anyway, around 2011, I started as an assistant professor, and I had this idea, hey, let's start a Buffalo crystal growing competition. Let's make it a little bit bigger. We'll do Western New York crystal growing competition. Maybe we'll make it a statewide event for all of New York. And then, like so many wonderful things that happen in life, you meet a stranger online. And so I met this gentleman, Denise, who runs basically the Canadian crystal growing competition, which was an established competition and had been doing quite well. I talked to him, got a few pointers, and that's really when I decided to try and make this actually a span the whole country. I mean, hey, why not? If you're going to do something, you might as well go big. And so anyway, he gave me some great, advice, some pointers, and I basically took off and started to make things happen in 2013. The idea is pretty straightforward. It's open to all U.S. children in grades K through 12. And so this actually sets it apart from some other, competitions, and even namely the Canadian competition, that's mainly open to the kids that are actually enrolled in school. I'll talk a bit more later about some of the demographics, the breakdowns of the kids that participate in the U.S. growing competition, but we're open to homeschoolers and everything like that. And there are some reasons why, for example, the Canadian competition only goes to schools. But anyway, I'll talk a little bit more about that. The basic idea is that kids have 5 weeks to turn 100 grams of the crystallization material. In our case, we use alum into the largest, highest quality single crystal they can possibly grow. And we start this crystal growing competition in basically mid-October, and this actually coincides with National Chemistry Week. So I'm not familiar actually if there's a National Chemistry Week, how international it is, but at least in America it's put on or broadly advertised by the American Chemical Society, and it starts again, normally third week of October. And so you might be asking yourself, well, geez, isn't that next week? And I would say, oh, geez, yes, it is. In fact, we've been pretty busy this last week shipping out materials to all of the contest participants. And so they have 5 weeks to grow this biggest, best crystal. And then after that growth period, they send the crystals back to Buffalo for judging. I will say, I'll show a little picture. Last year, in fact, we took judging on the road, and we actually did the judging down with one of the regional coordinators in Fernando Uribe Romo down in University of Central Florida. So the crystals, instead of getting shipped to cold, frigid Buffalo in the winter, the crystals were instead shipped down to sunny, beautiful Florida, and they were judged in, I forget, it was like January or February, which is basically, as I'm sure everyone online is acutely aware, before the blank hit the fan and the world shut down. So all right, so who helps me in this endeavor? Well, look at that. There's yours truly right there. And then, like I mentioned, we have Fernando down at UCF, Cara from Georgetown University, Michael down at Texas A&M, and then Ms. Tasha Benedict, my spouse, little spoiler alert there, and then many graduate students. So it's actually a pretty decent sized team of volunteers that make this contest happen. And there's no way that I could possibly do this without the help of all of them. And in fact, a few of my grad students are actually online right now, which also, given the time, I find a little bit honored that my grad students are here. So hello. Anyway, how does this happen? Well, basically, as I'm fond of saying, we basically package up what amounts to hundreds of kilos of fine white crystalline powder, and we mail it to the school children of America. And so you see here, we have our bottles of alum all taped up, ready to rock and roll. And then thanks to our sponsors, we actually include a lot of cool various swag. It varies from year to year. We got some pencils, some stickers, some tattoos, pins. This past year, we had some face masks from Women in Science and Engineering that were donated to the contest. So it's really cool. And the kids, the teachers love getting the swag and everything like that. And so if anyone is out there and would be interested in having some swag included in U.S. crystal growing competition boxes, get a hold of me. Yeah, so lots of boxes. There's some shipping from a previous year. And then we head to the post office and mail it all off. And so how do we, also make this happen in terms of education? We developed a few online resources. So here I have a YouTube channel where I've made a bunch of videos on how to grow a single crystal, and they've got hundreds of thousands of views. In fact, my university a year or two ago went and remade my videos with much better production value. It looks like the bottom's probably being cut off, but there I am. My hair's a bit shorter, the beard's a bit shorter, but the principles are all the same. Teaching kids how to grow large single crystals. And another part of this is being, pretty active in the digital space. And so we have a Twitter account, and please, if you're on Twitter, please, follow me, follow the contest, and you'll be able to see what we do. And that's where, that's probably the primary source for getting information, sort of out on the contest. if you do want to just sort of check in on it from time to time, you can go to the hashtag 20, I'd say XX here, because we start a new hashtag every year. So we just started the 2020 hashtag. But if you were to look at some of the previous years, so here's from 2018, this is Jeff Yap. He participates, most years. And, here's his cute kids growing crystals. And in fact, his daughter won either first or second place last year. And there's Kara and her group shipping out boxes. This was a teacher who was online, who actually monitored temperature swings in his lab as part of his crystallization experiment. So, it's not just, kids, it's teachers participating too and doing some really fun stuff. And then also saying sort of a new thing for last year was actually we recorded videos kind of like the Academy Awards where we were opening envelopes and announcing winners and posting the videos on YouTube and stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun, and we're just trying to, again, integrate as much as we can into the online space to bring this to people. And so one of the newer things for 2020 is, as one might imagine, what other kind of online space might we take over? Hey, TikTok, look at that. So we had some of our first TikTok videos introducing the contest this year. So if you're on TikTok, you can check us out on TikTok. And of course, you're probably asking yourself, well, geez, why aren't you on Instagram? Oh, okay, fine, we'll be on Instagram too. So we are also on Instagram. This still fits into my pretty much everything but Facebook digital strategy. We're not on Facebook, so you'll have to unfortunately go to either YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, or Instagram. All right. So anyway, people sign up. One of the big things about figuring out how to run this contest is figuring out how to do it and not spend 80 billion hours doing it, which it turns out is pretty close to what I spend doing it. But anyway, I have shaved off a few hours by doing a lot of trying to basically automate things, move them into the digital environment. And that's what I say, we've learned a lot, and we now have a pretty good plan where we can handle electronic payments. We charge a small fee for the bottle. We charge like $8 a bottle, and I'll tell you it costs more than twice that probably to send it to people, and that's why that's only made possible by the generous donations of our sponsors. And but anyway, we've got all this online database management, and we figured out ways to do reconciliation and things like that. And so again, we've learned a lot, but now it should be a highly scalable process. We use, again, marketing software. We use MailChimp here to communicate and track and interact with participants. This was huge. This was I can't even describe what a sea change moving to MailChimp was in terms of managing contest participants. You're all very familiar with the idea of growing a big, beautiful crystal. I'll move through some of this stuff pretty quickly. Who competes? Here's your map of America, 2016, 2017, 2018, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I implemented a whole bunch of new things in 2019, so our numbers fell a little bit in 2019. Who participates? We've got thousands of kids participating in this contest, and I have to actually say probably a good 30 to 40% are homeschooled. For 2020, how many are homeschooled? It's probably going to be a whole lot more. But anyway, I was a little bit surprised when we first started doing this that we would get these really crazy clusters of entries from like Oklahoma and Nebraska, and like, what's going on here? And it turns out someone would hear about the contest in a homeschool network, and boom, all those families would all of a sudden sign up. So we do actually have a very large fraction of people participating that don't go to a normal, school. All right, and then again, here are the numbers. The numbers are really taking off. They fell off a bit in 2019 again because I was pumping the brakes on things a little bit because we were really moving to a lot of these new digital platforms and things like that. And then I have to say that the numbers are still down a little bit this year, and I think certainly coronavirus is somewhat to blame. I've been contacted by some of the teachers that have participated previously and have just said, look, it's I don't have a good way to do this, and they're dealing with a lot of other stuff, and so on and so forth. And I have to say that just on a personal level, even about a month ago, it turns out me and my family, we all contracted coronavirus, and it was a little bit, like, uh-oh, is this really going to happen? And fortunately, we're fine. But look, this coronavirus is shaking things up, and but the good news is the contest is going to go on, and we're pretty excited. So anyway, we send all this stuff out, and then they send crystals back into Buffalo, and it is, time to start judging them. So here's some pictures from judging. We got basically lots of professors and students to sign up and take a look at crystals, and it's just a big old day of fun. I'm not exactly sure how judging is going to work this year. It's going to obviously have to be socially distant, and the idea of everyone touching crystals is probably not a great idea. So we'll figure something out. But like I said, in last year in 2019, we went down to Florida. So there's Fernando holding up a nice crystal, and you can see, some of the other things. Here are the winner crystals to give you an idea of, this is K through 8. So these are what the young kids are sending in, and some of them are very young kids. The big ping pong ball sized, crystals. You can see some of them are even a little bit larger than that. And look, everyone probably watching right now is, works with crystals, has grown crystals. And what the magic is when you pull out, big, amazing crystals out of solution, right? And that's what we're bringing to these kids. We're bringing them that experience of pulling out that big, huge crystal and just getting to see all that awesomeness. And so then we put the winners on display. So, and this is in Buffalo. So we've got thousands thousands and thousands of crystals on display in Buffalo. And there's actually now a display at Florida for last year's winners. So that's a lot of fun. And the good news is that yes, we have to pick top crystals, but everyone really is a winner. And so we get sent in all these pictures. People come and visit. So that's me down in the bottom right-hand corner with a student and their parents came because they wanted to see their crystal on display. I mean, it's awesome. It's really awesome. It's a lot of fun. And again, boom, more winners, and it's great. It's just, the pictures speak for themselves. It's really just awesome. But of course, we want to keep innovating, and we started something in the in 2017, the coolest crystal contest. And so you're like, coolest crystal? What is that? And so look, the idea was, we want to really, obviously we want kids to try and grow the best crystal that they can. But look, we want kids to have fun, right? We want kids to imagine and innovate. And so we basically started this, and the idea is, grow a cool crystal. And there's basically 2 rules. One is don't do anything dangerous or hazardous, please. And then 2, whatever you send us, we're not going to send back. So if you want to grow a big, awesome gold crystal, that's fine. Send it in, but we're not going to be sending it back. So anyway, what did we get? Well, the very first year, Jeff Yap, who I showed a little bit ago, they cracked a highlighter into the solution and made this beautiful glowing, green glowing crystal. And there's Jeff with his kids visiting the display and everything like that. These were some entries we received in 2018, people starting to get kind of artistic. It's a little tough to see. Those are my students, Shatong and Zoe. They're holding up like an art. So the world is decorated with a bunch of crystals. A little crystal with sunglasses, and then this other one contained some chromium. And then last year, they really blew me away again. We had a tie for first place. We had the geode crystal on the right, which the photo doesn't really do it justice. And then someone literally 3D printed a Thanos glove and then grew dyed crystals for all the Infinity Stones. I was like, this is why I do this contest, right? Is you see stuff like this and you're just like, man, people are having fun out there. They're thinking about it. It's so cool. It's so cool. It's so rewarding. What is the impact? We have all these great quotes from teachers, from parents, from educators. but I'll share one with you that again, you know, in the context of Corona. So I just got this, you know, this email earlier, you know, maybe a month or so ago. You know, thank you, we're all set. Thank you for organizing this. My son is taking chemistry remotely and is unable to participate in labs, something he's wanted to do since starting high school. An opportunity for him to participate in this is a godsend, right? And, you know, again, it sort of gives you shivers, right? You know, like that, you know, we're really providing something of value to people across the country. And again, you know, that's why we do this. You know, you got a kid who really wishes he could be taking his chemistry lab, and, you know, the second place, he's going to be participating in the crystal growing competition. So, so anyway, this is all really made possible by, again, the generous support of all of our sponsors. You know, one of the big ones is the U.S. National Science Foundation. They're very generous in their sponsorship of this this contest. But again, I have to thank everyone on this page. Really, without them, this wouldn't be possible. And I also have to thank my group and also my family for really putting in the extra mile, especially this year. We basically did a lot of the packing of boxes from home and things like that. And so, you know, I have to give a special big shout out to my family, but also my group. They're always just a real big help. And I'd also like to thank everyone here in attendance for your time and attention. And with that, I would be happy to take any questions.
Thank you for a wonderful talk, Jason. Really heartwarming and inspiring to see kind of the impact that this has had across the US. Has anyone got any questions? I think there's one from Greg already in the chat box. I don't know whether you can turn your microphone on, Greg.
It was kind of a request, but it's already been answered. I was like, can I still get in, or is it too close to an NCW? So we'll see. I was just talking, my daughter was saying her just literally 2 days ago, oh, well, I don't know, Friday, her science teacher was like, your dad needs to come in and we need to do something in class. And I'm like, oh, well, the timing is really good now that you mention it. If you guys can ship, heck, if you can't, I've got Alan around the lab, but.
Yeah, I would say if you want to send me an email, we can chat and see if we can do something. I always try to cut it off, and I always do a terrible job because I just can't say no to people. You know,
Yeah, I got you.
I'm really sorry. So if you send me an email, you know, we can chat, and I may be able to do something.
Cool.
And I think there's also interest in a joint transatlantic crystal growth competition with Benin as well. So.
Yeah, you know, that was one thing that, you know, especially being at the PCCR2, the ALS meeting, I made some great connections. And yeah, there's been some talk with a few folks that run some competitions and, you know, across the globe, and the idea of being an international crystal growing competition. And I think that, you know, some of that, the brakes got pumped a little bit because of all this COVID craziness blowing up. But no, that's something I'm definitely very interested in. And again, Jack down in Australia was interested, and Mobin, and, you know, a few others, you know, and so I think there is a real opportunity. As you might imagine, it gets complicated because you need to have a common, you know, look, you know, it's the United Nations of crystal growing competitions, I guess, right? You know, you have to figure out a way to unify everything. And all of these competitions do have slightly different takes. So it is a little bit more complicated than just simply like everyone saying, hey, all right, you know, but I think that again, you know, people can come together and figure out a way to get it done. So yeah, I would love to you know, bring you into the conversation and really work towards a global competition in the best of spirits, of course. You know, like the Olympics. Right? So.
Sounds exciting. Has anyone else got any questions for Jason? I guess while we're waiting for questions, we've seen your kind of participation grow. What's what have you seen as some of the most effective ways to grow that? It looks like you're doing quite a lot of different things to grow the engagement.
Yeah, I have to say that social media is probably one of the most powerful ways to do it. It does require some legwork, but when I was really actively trying to boost some participation, I would just cruise like Twitter and find relevant organizations and tweet to them, right? And tweet, hey, I'll bet your people would be interested in. So for example, we have this National Science Teachers Association is on Twitter, and so I would tweet to them, hey, I'll bet your people, and sometimes people retweet you, sometimes they don't. The sponsors will retweet, and you see numbers track up. I mean, we don't have a huge amount of analytics, but it's largely word by mouth, and so on social media, that's one way to do it. And that's also the reason we've started, getting onto TikTok and stuff like that, is to try and just put more sort of videos into the ether, and maybe people see it, maybe they like it, maybe they start following the contest, and then maybe they talk about it. And that's the big way, because I'll tell you, we don't have a large advertising budget. We're a shoestring type operation, but we do continue to grow. And the people that, what's interesting is every year about half of the participants are returning participants, and then I would say about half are new participants. So it's a pretty good mix of making sure bringing new people in, and people drop off for one reason for another. I'll get emails that are like, people retire, things happen. But it does take work to sort of keep it going. But that's also the nice thing about involving more and more people into the organization, is they get excited about it, and they'll help spread the word and get the word out, and people just enjoy participating. So that helps too. The people really love the contest.
They do. I was impressed with the TikTok. I did look up Chemistry Week in the UK is the 18th to the 24th of November. So there might be an opportunity to bring them into social media too.
Yeah, November. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's right around the time when ours is no, because it's just a week, but the contest ends 5 weeks later. So I think the last week of November is when our growth period technically ends.
Any final questions for Jason before we close this session? It's always a challenge to know how long to give people to unmute themselves, or if there aren't any further questions.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I think we're done. But if you do have any questions to Jason following on from this, then I guess feel free to reach out to Jason.
Yeah. What a great, I just want to say too, what a great session. And I'm going to be poking around the CCDC site and probably send it out to all of our participants, because I have educators ask me about more materials and things like that. And so thank you to the CCD for producing these materials. Like I said, I'm also looking forward to Thierry's materials as well. So thank you.